A reading from Chapter 3, Looking Up, A Birder's Guide to Hope Through Grief. Uncertainty. Mockingbirds. Unlike the mockingbird, I don't tolerate uncertainty very well. Most of us don't. God knows all, sees all, holds all, but we glimpse only these little, often nonsensical seeming snippets of horror and glory. We posit and predict, plan and perseverate. Yet this very day a drunk driver might veer into our lane, or a single pancreatic cell turn cancerous, or a president make an announcement, or a fault line open up, and everything we thought we could count on may evaporate in an instant. Despite living in Southern California these past 8 years, writes author Courtney Ellis, I have yet to experience a major earthquake. Friends who remember the 1989 Bay Area quake or the 1994 one in Northridge have told me how unsettling it was to feel the ground beneath them, so solid, so dependable, start to rock. If our very foundation is shuddering, what then? Yet uncertainty is simply our lot in life. We know in part, writes the Apostle Paul. We prophesy in part. Even our discerning of the future is filled with holes. A really good meteorologist is still wrong 20% of the time. We long for the fullness of knowing and being fully known, but today we stumble around doing our best with limited information, limited understanding, limited capacity. Unpredictability is written into the cosmos. Quantum mechanics involves an actual uncertainty principle concerning particles that basically boils down to this. We can never know all the things, and the more we know about one thing, the more uncertain the other thing becomes. Perhaps you can nail down a particle's momentum, but that means you've now lost any grasp of its position. And it isn't just the higher sciences that reach their limits. We still don't know how birds coordinate their flights in flocks or basically anything about the mating habits of blue whales or why most humans are naturally right-handed. Dig around in any scientific field and you'll find wisdom and facts, but also wondrous mystery when the experts reach the limits of what they've yet discovered. Hello and welcome to today's Heartlift with Janelle. I'm Janelle, your guide for part 2 of my conversation with author and pastor Courtney Ellis, and we've been talking about her brilliant, beautiful book, Looking Up, A Birder's Guide to Hope Through Grief. Let's welcome Courtney back for part 2. You say with uncertainty, we have so much uncertainty in the world today, and I'm not sure that's new. I think there probably has always been a spirit of uncertainty present on Earth. You link that to mockingbirds. I really want to know more about that.
Mockingbirds are amazing. And you have mockingbirds by you. We have them by us. They're all over the country. They're the most popular state bird. So there are more states that have the mockingbird as their state bird than any other bird.
How do you know all this? You are just killing me. This is fantastic. You are so passionate. This is so good.
My poor husband, we go out on a date and he's like, 2 bird facts, and I will listen attentively. And then we have to move on. I can't do this all day, every day. No, so mockingbirds are amazing because they can mimic the sounds of other birds. That's why they're called mockingbirds, but they can also mimic things like ambulance sirens, trampolines. I mean, they can, they don't do a great job of mimicking human speech like parrots do, but they can copy many, many, many other things. And they often, the males especially during breeding season, will put together a playlist of sorts And if you sit and listen, they will repeat it. So you're like, oh, okay, they just did goldfinch and then they did robin and then they did hawk and then they did
No.
siren and now they're back to the goldfinch. And they'll vary it when they see that they're getting attention from females. I mean, they're amazing, but I linked them to uncertainty in that chapter because you never know what you're going to get with a mockingbird. You never know what's going to come out of its mouth.
Ah, okay. So how do we do that? You say uncertainty is painful. It really is. But sometimes it is also merciful. Courtney, this is
Yes.
what I love most about your writing is that it is so two-handed, like let's hold both of these things. You're really very invitational to us, which I don't necessarily get a lot from a lot of writers, creators, but invitational, not in like, let's find the silver lining.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's not that. It's mature. Is that the right word? It is helpful. More than anything,
Mm.
it's helpful. Yes, uncertainty is painful, but sometimes it's also merciful. What does that mean?
I think we often desire to see the whole road ahead, the entire path
Mhm.
laid out before us, but it is it would be so rare for us to be able to handle all of that at once.
Mm,
You know, if I knew in the middle of March 2020 that we were what we were headed into, I think my brain would have collapsed, you know. So God
yes.
gives us out of grace one step at a time. You know, here's the
Hmm.
next step. Follow the shepherd, listen and obey, walk beside me, and I'm not going to give you the whole road ahead, not because I'm cruel, not because I'm hiding things from you, but out of love. You know, the story
Mm.
of Adam and Eve, they the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they thought we need to know more. And God said, you know,
Ooh,
sometimes knowing less is protective. I think of the children of Israel walking through the desert, and there was the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire that went in front of them. It showed them where to go, but it also obscured what was
yes.
beyond it. So they could
Yeah.
only
Ooh.
see God in front of them. And, you know, the longer I follow Jesus and
Mm,
work in these spiritual practices, the more I realize how much uncertainty is a grace of its own kind. It's hard
mm,
and it can be scary, it can be unsettling, and
hmm.
it is so good we can't see what comes around the bend because, you know, the Jesus in the gospel says each day has enough trouble of its own. So
It sure does. Yeah. Buckle up,
buckle up for
buttercup.
one at a time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look up and buckle up. Exactly. It's so true. But once again, that theme, I hear you returning to the theme of meandering in the sense of you right here. Has there ever been a time in your life when you found God handing you new sheet music, asking you to add an unexpected chorus to a concert program you thought was already filled? How did you cope with the change in plans? So hopefully weathering change will take us further. But I think that is a theme through this book is it safe to say making uncertainty, grief, friends instead of enemies? They're welcoming us, they're invitational, as opposed to, as I would have once perceived them, as judgment
Yeah.
or repercussion, you know, for not being the best person in the world or perfect or good, or I grew up Catholic. So it's, you know, there's a lot of that. It's like be a good girl, and you be a good girl, then you won't get punished. At least this is Heartlifter, what it's doing for me in this season of my life is embracing these things, not allowing them to lead me to fear. Okay, you compare life to sparrows. Sparrows speak life. Why did you choose sparrows for life?
I love sparrows. Sparrows are everywhere, and sparrows aren't big and bright and flashy. You know, some of the birding
No,
books even they describe them as drab or dumpy bodied. You know, and I'm like, that's rude. Like,
that's so
don't say that
rude.
about the sparrows. But my favorite sparrow, and I talk about this in the chapter, is the song sparrow. And they
Mm.
live in all 50 states and they don't migrate very far. But the thing about a song sparrow is they keep singing no matter what's going on, no matter if it's
Ooh.
raining or snowing or sleeting or hailing, they keep raising their voices. And as a writer, as a pastor, that's really inspiring to me and instructive for me. So I linked sparrows to life because in many ways they are the most ordinary birds. There are very few birders who are going to call home about a sparrow, like, look what I saw. And everyone's like, yeah, me too. They're right here on the cafe table, like they're everywhere.
Yes, in abundance.
Yes, but they are deeply loved by God.
They
Jesus says,
are.
consider the birds, consider the sparrows. He doesn't say consider the peacocks, which they had in the ancient Near East. Jesus would have known about peacocks. He would have
That's
known
so
about
true.
owls. He says, consider the sparrows, the ordinary birds. Your heavenly Father loves them. Your heavenly Father feeds them. And I think in a culture where everything is
Mm.
pushing us to be bigger and better and flashier, and if you're not dancing on TikTok, who even are you? Jesus says, consider the sparrows, because the kingdom of God is found in the simple and the quiet and the unobtrusive. And, we become more human as we become more like the sparrows and less like the
Yeah.
peacocks. And I say that as an Enneagram 3 who has some peacock in
Oh,
me
you're a
for
three.
sure.
Are you?
Yeah, we will
Wow, I
not be
would not have
stopped.
guessed that.
Oh, that's a compliment. I kind of think
That
threes
is
are
a
the worst.
compliment. I would not ever. I think I'm pretty shrewd with the Enneagram, but no. Okay, so then I am going to ask this question. As a writer, author, person, public person, how do you then, Courtney Ellis, how do you hush the peacock when all that we're actually, I mean, it's not inclusive to publishing that you have big numbers or big platforms. It's not, it's almost everywhere now to be, the greatest thing in the world is to be this influencer, right?
Yeah.
So what advice then? Like, because I was a dancer and I'm just being honest. Like every day I'm like, I can be the grandma of the dances. I'm going to get on TikTok. I'll increase my numbers, blah, blah, blah. And then I go into AFib and God says, I want you to be really quiet. I
Right.
want you to go calm, be calm. It's such a conundrum of
Hmm.
of daily buffeting is the way that I feel because I am I have
Yeah.
a strong three peacock side. How do you, maybe it's not problematic. It might not be problematic for but I think most people I talk to, it's problematic. Whether or not they want to be in the public, they still feel very invisible. We're going to take a pause here. I want to talk from Courtney's chapter on sparrows. And on page 59, she writes, but it can be easy to take what is familiar for granted. We want to escape from the daily grind. We long for new experiences and perspectives. I can't believe I have to go through my whole life with the same face, a high school friend once bewailed. I'm only 17 and already I'm so tired of it. Yet common things are precious to God, knit into the fabric of His purposes. It's one reason God uses plain old water for baptism and bread and wine, ever present and easily affordable in Jesus' day, for the Lord's Supper. Jesus was baptized in the Jordan River not because it was particularly holy, but because it was right there. Jesus points to wildflowers, planted by no farmer, tended by no gardener, to remind us of the Father's providence. He speaks of seeds and coins and fields and trees. Jesus talks about the weather not because he's making small talk, but because the simple things that make up our days have profound stories to tell about who God is, about who we are, about how and what and whom God loves. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Jesus asks. Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside your Father's care. The commonness of sparrows is part of their glory. Their ordinariness, is that how you say that? One piece of what makes them special. Sparrows are everywhere. But even within their vast populations, a single bird is unique, with a slightly different marking pattern, personality, history, and nesting spot. Even with 1.6 billion house sparrows and 319 individual species of New World sparrows, every one is individually crafted, much like the normal, humble days that each come to us but once. Individually crafted, much like the normal, humble days that each come to us but once. Sparrows are also a reminder that God's care is not dependent on our own transcendence or charisma or beauty. Everyone notices a peacock, but sparrows can blend in until we stop seeing them at all. God never does. Heartlifter, what a place to pause. Take that deep breath, inhale God's presence, and realize that He sees. He sees each one of us. That's why the sparrow represents life. A common, ordinary life is anything but common and ordinary. What on earth, how do we combat this on a daily practice when God says, He said, look at the sparrow. He didn't say, look at the peacock.
Right. He didn't say, look at me,
Oh
look
my
at
gosh.
me, Courtney Ellis, right? Look at
That's
you,
so
Janelle.
good. Courtney.
I mean, I think it's a challenge for all of us in different ways. I'm an Enneagram 3, but I'm not the image conscious Enneagram 3.
Okay.
I'm very introverted, but I'm the achievement Enneagram 3. So I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write another book. I can't turn it off, this achievement treadmill. Yeah. So it's much less, what do I look like? And much more, this is going to be the best sentence ever.
And
which
I
is,
just affirmed that. I'm so sorry.
Well, no, making beautiful art is a beautiful thing, but is your worth in the sentence?
Exactly.
Is your identity in the sentence? And so
Exactly.
I think, my husband and I have been serving this church for 11 years and have really felt called by God. It's a bigger church, we have over 600 members, but even in the midst of that, being really called by God to the small, to the local, to the quiet. We do things like we don't share our children's faces on social media. We're not, none of us are on TikTok. We're trying to be as human as we possibly can be in the face of this big machine that's all about platform and more and better. And we our church really helps us with that we aren't a big deal because they knew us 11 years ago when we were just starting out, and they know our kids, and they know the messiness of my minivan sitting in the parking lot, and there's such a gift in that, in a world that wants to pull us away from our local place and put us on a pedestal or make us feel invisible because all we have is our local place. I really do believe all hope in a lot of ways, all hope is local. All community is local. And I love, connecting with people on social media and talking about books and all of these things and doing podcasts. But at the end of the day, when I sign off with you, I'm going to go walk around the office and have a chat with the pastor of the Chinese church that meets here on campus, who's hanging out in the bullpen. And I'm going to walk down to our women's ministries coordinator and ask about Friendsgiving that she's prepping. And these are the things that make us human. These are the things that keep us connected to God. They keep us humble. I mean, my kids also really keep me humble. My first book came out. I'm so excited. I'm taking it out of the box. And my oldest son, who's then 8 years old, flips it open and goes, "There are no pictures in this, Mom." It's like, don't let you believe the hype about yourself. But the other thing I think that's always been helpful for me is I love the story of Hagar in the book of Genesis, where she is marginalized in every way. She's a woman, she's a foreigner, she's a servant. Abraham misuses her terribly, and she ends up pregnant and alone and in the wilderness. And it's Genesis chapter 16. She is the first person in all of Scripture that gives God a name. And she calls God El Roy, which
God, I
means,
can.
yeah, God sees me, the God who sees me. And that is
Oh,
the God that is with us. So those days, I'm a parent. There are lots of days where I'm like, my job is laundry. Like that is my job. My name is
yes.
laundry mom. And remembering
Laundry
that
mom.
none of that goes unseen by God. If you live in the middle of nowhere, if you don't have any social media, if you're struggling to feel less than in a society that tells you, if you don't have Botox, who even are you?
Hmm.
To be able to be reminded that God tells us to look at the sparrows and God sees them and God sees us.
Mm. It's really a pivotal word, Courtney. I feel like I have been privileged to catch the tears of hundreds and many, many, many women, through
Yeah.
decades and decades of this work that I do. And I think that being invisible is the number one feeling. And that's even with people
Mm.
who are not invisible, they're public.
Yeah.
So it's that core sense, I guess, is what you're saying to us, that you have to constantly remind yourself who you are. Set
Yeah.
that safe.
Mm.
Okay. So I want to end with rest.
Mm.
Rest has been a huge theme this year in my life and in the life of the podcast, and rest with mothers particularly. I've really given this
Hmm.
year to mothering. And you share a story about getting stuck in a rowboat. So can you just give us that really quick story of that? Because I know our time is almost up. So you get stuck in this rowboat. Heartlifters, you're going to get the book and you're going to read it, but just for in light of understanding how that relates to rest and why the quail, why did you choose the quail? All right, so you're stuck in this rowboat. Row, row, row your
Oh,
boat.
quail are so great. That's the California state bird, California quail. Quail are the best.
Just
Look
love
up
every
quail.
bird so much. You just make
I
me so
do, I
happy.
do. They're all my favorites. So I got stuck in a rowboat because there are those oar locks where you put the oars in, and we were using the motor, not the oars. So the oar locks
Mm.
were empty, and I put my finger in one of those holes, and it got stuck. And it was
Oh,
traumatic. I was a kindergartner, I was little, and it was a whole thing. And we brought, my grandfather brings the boat back to the dock, and I'm crying. And my mom, is who has to deal with three young children, ages 5 and under, is
mm.
over it. And my grandfather's like, well, it's okay. I know what to do. And he goes up to the house, and I'm sitting there in the boat thinking, he has this giant tool bench. Like he's getting a saw, he's getting an axe. Maybe he's going to cut my finger off. Like that's how this story ends. This is going to be terrible. And he comes down, and I see, there's nothing shiny and metal in his hands. I
Whew.
can see as he's coming down from the house, but instead it's a bottle of oil from the kitchen. It's canola oil with the blue cap, and he unscrews it and pours it into the hole
You
and
can see
frees my
this.
my my poor little finger, right, and sets me free. And I'm running away down the dock and have this moment of remembering to turn and tell him thank you. And he was a man of few words, but said something like, someone as smart as you should not go sticking their finger into oar holes, which is fair. But this idea that, in that way, it was oil in the Bible is a sign of blessing, and how often
Yes.
God meets us when we've gotten ourselves into trouble,
Hot
when
mess.
we've gotten ourselves stuck and trapped and confused and agitated and frightened, that God meets us not with punishment, not with
Mm.
judgment, but with blessing and with freedom, and then says, don't do that again.
No,
there's always
when
that
I love what he
that
said,
word.
you're way too smart of a kid to stick your finger in an oar hole. That's hysterical. So he seemed like he was like pretty blunt as well.
Always. Oh,
Oh,
always. He didn't talk much, but when he did, he was very, very clear, which I think I've
oh
inherited from him, maybe sometimes not in the best way, but we're
no.
all works in progress.
We are, and you said you were an introvert like he is, so that's why I thought you might be an Enneagram 4. That's what you were cluing to me. But okay,
Yeah.
you three. Subtype must be a different subtype then if you're not into image. You like
I
achievement.
am, but it's written image. It's
Yes.
I want my work to be the best.
Your
Yeah.
CV and all. Yeah, got that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in closing, Courtney, you do give us a whole appendix on how to start birding. But what does that birding look like in your life? What does that look like? I've heard you give little hints all throughout this time, which I wanted to stop right away and say, how long were you sitting? and listening to the mockingbird
Yeah.
to go through that litany of sounds. You couldn't have just walked by. Like, do you go alone? Do you go with a partner? And you may tell us in detail in the book, but if we want to do that, what does it look like in your life? And then maybe we can make it happen in our life.
So my birding takes two different forms, and the one that I do most often is alone, and it's simple and it's often very short. So I'll go on a walk for 20 minutes, or I'll sit in my yard for 10 minutes and just quietly observe. And all you need for that is yourself. A pair of binoculars can help,
Okay.
but just to look and listen and be there quietly with the birds is a great gift. And it's so easy and anyone can do it. I have folks come to me often and say, well, I don't have any birds where I live. And I'll say, just try like 10 minutes 2 or 3 days in a row and come back and tell me. And they're like, oh, I have birds in my yard. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't notice.
Oh
They're
my
there.
gosh.
They're there if you're looking for them. So that's one thing. And the other thing that I've grown to really, really love over the years is I go to birding festivals, which
No.
they have around the country. I'm headed to the Rio Grande Birding Festival first week of November this year. And
Courtney.
often I will go to those with a friend. And so those are where you have the chance to go on birding tours with experts who are able to point things out that, I'm still I've been doing it for about 6 years. I'm still kind of a beginner. And
Uh-huh.
so to go with someone who's able to help me identify the hawk and learn the difference between these two types of doves, or go out on a boat and see what's out there on the water is so fun.
Wow.
So this is my whole retirement plan. I just got to get my husband on board.
Oh, we just retired. So, okay. Birding festivals. How
Oh, they're
exciting.
so fun. They're so
Really?
fun. Yes. And they're all over the country and they're all throughout the year. And I've got a list of favorites, but they're delightful. And you get to meet all these people who are even nerdier than you are with the birds. It's so fun.
I love this so much. Okay. So when does Weathering Change come out?
February 17th, I think. This
Okay.
coming February.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I am extending an invitation, and I will ask the powers to be to have you back for that, because that book looks fabulous as well, and the cover is gorgeous, just like this one. I've taken so much of your time. I'm so grateful for you encouraging us to look up, because it's a desperate need for all of us to look up right now in our life with all the things that we're attached to as far as
It's true.
digital stuff goes. But thank you for your passion. May you be richly blessed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janelle. It's a joy to be with you.
Thanks for listening today, Heartlifter. I am so thankful that you are here. I pray your heart has been lifted and that you have found hope for your heart-lifting journey. All Lovuary, I want to end each episode with the beautiful words penned in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, verses 9 through 12 in the Living Bible. Two can accomplish more than twice as much as one, for the results can be much better. If one falls, the other pulls him up. But if a man falls when he is alone, he's in trouble. And one standing alone can be attacked and defeated. But two can stand back to back and conquer. 3 is even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. That's the deal, Heartlifter. You, me, and God, a powerful triple braided cord. I am confident of one thing. When we stand back to back, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, hand in hand, we will conquer. And it will be beautiful. So please join me. Join the Heartlift Central community over on Substack at Heartlift Central. There is a free and paid subscription, and for all paid subscribers, during Lovuary, you will receive daily heart lifts that will lift your heart, and they will encourage you and help you learn how to carry the heavy things you are carrying. Remember Mary Oliver, it's how you carry the weight. It's It's all in the way you embrace it, balance it, carry it when you cannot, and when you would not put it down. So together, we're going to encourage one another to release, to let go of the heavy weights that are bearing down on us so that we can walk in newfound freedom. And join me on Instagram at Janelle Reardon. Those are the places we meet. And together, back to back, we will move into 2026 with a renewed sense of power and purpose.